Good morning, everyone. My name is Morgan Hoffarth, and I am the immediate past president of the Registered Nurses Association of Ontario. I'm the moderator for this morning's media conference. Joining me are RNAO's President, Dr. Claudette Holloway, and RNAO's CEO, Dr. Doris Grinspun. We're so pleased to be here in person after 3 years of COVID-19 for our annual Queen's Park Day. I'd like to take a moment to thank those who are here with us, including members of the Board of Directors, MPPs, other guests, and the media. After we present our report, we'll be happy to take questions from reporters. CP24 and Radio Canada are monitoring the feed from their stations. Reporters and nurses who are not able to join us in person are able to watch the live stream on RNAO's Twitter feed. First, I want to acknowledge the land on which we are holding this media conference. It's the traditional land of the Mississaugas of the Credit. This territory was the subject of the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Iroquois Confederacy and the Ojibwe and allied nations to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. This land remains home to many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people from across Turtle Island. By making this land acknowledgement, we are taking part in an act of reconciliation, honoring the land and Indigenous heritage, which dates back over 10,000 years. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Claudette Holloway, President of RNAO.
Thank you, Morgan, and good morning, everyone. As our immediate past president just noted, this is a special day for our association. This is our 23rd annual Queen's Park Day, a day that nursing leaders, 150 of them, come to the legislature to meet with our elected representatives to discuss the issues facing the profession, our health system, and the health of Ontarians. We take this responsibility seriously because our role is to serve the public, and our goal is to keep people healthy and care for them when ill. This morning, we are releasing our Nursing Career Pathways report. It examines the nursing landscape, its opportunities, and how we can strengthen and rebuild our profession so nurses can fulfill their aspirations and be fully equipped to provide the care Ontarians need during all ages and stages of life. Nursing is a profession that has the power to inspire, attract, and fulfill people who choose to care for others. It's rewarding and full of possibilities. Nurses have extensive academic preparation and draw on the education and experience they gain in their roles throughout their career. Nurses often refer to their career as being a journey of lifelong learning. Our report celebrates all nurses. It also showcases the career pathways, the diverse and rich variety of journeys that are available to registered practical nurses, registered nurses, and nurse practitioners who want to explore additional education opportunities or want to attain a specialty. You can read in the report the amazing profiles of nurses, including students who share this journey. I would like to take a moment to reflect on my own nursing career, one that has been rich and varied. I have been an RN for 52 years, 48 years in Canada. I am an internationally educated nurse, beginning my career in England. I have a baccalaureate degree, a master's degree, and a doctorate degree. I have worked in public health, hospitals, home care, long-term care. I've provided bedside care and worked as a manager, director, education. I also had the privilege to lead programs in planning and policy. There is a direct relationship between a healthy nursing workforce and a healthy population. A strong and vibrant nursing profession is necessary for a well-functioning health system and people's overall health. Nursing is a demanding, amazing, and exhilarating profession. Given the central role nurses play throughout our healthcare system, nurses must experience respect for their roles and for the profession itself. Respect for our levels of education, our skill sets, and the various roles and specialties in which we work across sectors of our healthcare system. Our roles and careers take us to a variety of domains of practice, such as clinical practice, administration, education, research, and policy. Nursing practice is evidence-based and informed by a deep understanding of the social and environmental determinants of health that shape people's lives. The latter is why nurses are such passionate advocates for healthy public policy. This exquisite combination of evidence-based clinical expertise and social environmental determinants of health are essential to improve health and system outcomes at the population level. Yet, nurses have not felt respected, not in the way we should, given our central role in the system. The past 3 years have exposed vulnerabilities as an already understaffed nursing workforce slipped into a deeper crisis. A comprehensive survey RNAO released less than a year ago revealed that 75% of nurses were burnt out, and 69% of the more than 5,000 nurses surveyed said that they plan to leave the profession within 5 years. This is disastrous for our health system and for Ontarians. There is such huge potential and so much we can do better. We must unleash the unlimited potential that exists within nursing and expose high school students and second career seekers to the enormous opportunities. At the same time, we must tackle the barriers so that we can chart a new course for our profession. That course is laid out in our report. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudette. Now I welcome Dr. Doris Grinspun, RNAO's CEO, to share the recommendations in our report.
Thank you, Morgan. Good morning, everyone. The state of nursing, as our amazing president, Dr. Claudette Holloway, just shared, must be viewed in the context of two themes: opportunities and barriers. This report is a window for high school students and those considering a second career to choose from the world of opportunities nursing offers. The report also serves as a source of pride and hope to nursing colleagues already working in our health system. Lastly, it is a call to action for politicians and for employers, so that together we overcome the barriers and create new opportunities that take nurses and the nursing profession to new heights, not for nursing, but for the sake of Ontarians. I have been an RN for almost 48 years, 34 of those in Canada. I have worked as a staff nurse, clinical nurse specialist, manager, director of nursing, and as an executive, as a researcher, and as a policymaker. I began my career after earning an RN diploma. I obtained my baccalaureate degree and then a Master's of Nursing Science, as well as a PhD. I am also an internationally educated nurse, or what, as of late, the media refers IENs. I have been privileged to work in several countries throughout my career. Like my colleague, I am in debt to the awesome profession that I entered years ago that has opened a world of opportunities and possibilities for me. This is why I present our recommendations to you with passion and with determination. These are evidence-based recommendations. We know that if they are implemented, nurses will be able to continue fulfilling their vital roles. The health and the well-being of Ontarians is at stake. We face huge challenges in Ontario, but none that cannot be overcome. We entered the pandemic with a shortfall of 22,000 RNs on a per capita basis compared to the rest of Canada. Let me repeat, we entered the pandemic with 22,000 shortfall RNs. The shortfall not only has stayed like that, but has grown, and we now need 24,000 RNs to bring Ontario in line with the rest of the country. We have seen an increase in RNs and RPN vacancies, and what we call stubborn vacancies. They have doubled since the start of the pandemic, both for RNs and for RPNs. The crisis in nursing is real, is tragic, and we all pay dearly for it with our health. Both nurses pay with their health, and Ontarians pay with their health when ERs are closed, ICUs get closed, weekends, etc. We will pay even more if we don't address it. Let us be clear. For-profit, standalone clinics on the side will not solve the situation of Ontarians. Solving the nursing crisis and bringing all those surgeries in opening the ORs in our hospitals on weekends and on evenings, that will solve the crisis. If we don't address it, that crisis will result in more system failure, because it is about system failure, to recognize the centrality of nurses' work and their fundamental role in our system. Rather than blaming and shaming, we all must get our act together and fix the nursing crisis once and for all. RNAO has laid a path in a sequence of hard-hitting reports. Today, we unveil the latest one. It highlights the imperative to build nursing careers in Ontario through retention and recruitment by implementing the recommendations laid out in the report, Nursing Career Pathways. If we open these possibilities that my colleague and I were so lucky to have, if we make those possibilities certain, nurses will want both to enter the profession and to stay in the profession right here at home. It starts with compensation. Shockingly, the real income of nurses in Ontario has been declining since 2010. The fall in real income has sharpened with high inflation and the government's wage restraint, Bill 124. We have been talking about Bill 124 since its inception. It never should have existed, and it never should have been challenged in the court when actually the court deemed it unconstitutional. It's now the time to tell nurses that you will earn, after inflation, less and less and less each passing year. Do you think that after all that nurses gave during the pandemic and that they're exiting the profession in droves, do you think that now is the time to tell them that they will earn less and less and less? This is a major barrier to retain nurses in the profession. Nurses feel devalued and professionals despite their education and skill set. Inadequate compensation doesn't just affect individual nurses. Whole sectors of practice, such as primary care, home care, and long-term care, are even more so affected. So retention and recruitment becomes immensely challenging. Nurses need and deserve adequate compensation and wage parity across all sectors of the health system. Let me repeat, a nurse that works in primary care should not be making less than a nurse that works in home care or in long-term care and in hospitals. We need to increase compensation for Ontario nurses in all roles, domains and sectors, so it is competitive with compensation in other jurisdictions, including in the US. Address pay disparities among nurses working in different sectors, including home care and long-term care and primary care, by harmonizing their compensation upwards. Throughout the pandemic, nurses have worked with little rest, experienced tremendous levels of exhaustion, stress, and burnout, and suffered moral distress for not being able to provide safe and dignified care. No nurse wants to come to work to not deliver the best possible care, and many times that is happening. No surprise, the exodus from the profession and the shortage grows as a result. Nurses tell us we need better workplace supports and we need safe workloads. These are crucial retention factors. These barriers must be fixed, and we must ensure safe and healthy workplaces for nurses by increasing nurse staffing and support across all sectors. Implement evidence-based recommendations to retain and recruit nurses by providing full-time employment, mentorship and professional development, occupational health and safety measures, and enforcement, as well as safe workloads. I repeat, safe workloads. This is not only for nurses. Yes, it affects nursing satisfaction. More importantly, it affects patient outcomes. Our 2022 Nursing Through Crisis survey identified that 1/4 of all nurses believe better mentorship would keep them from leaving the profession. Mentorship is crucial to retention and absolutely essential for novice nurses and those taking on new roles. It also instills confidence. We have an opportunity, and that's why the government should expand the Nursing Graduate Guarantee, or NGG, to include all new nursing registrants in Ontario, including internationally educated nurses. We also urge the government to reinstate the Late Career Nurse Initiative, or LCNI, and encourage recently retired nurses to return as mentors for new graduates. This will relieve the pressure on the nurses at work, and this will bring a whole cadre of retired nurses back into the profession and into the workforce. That same survey also identified a need for nurse managers to be visible and accessible in their workplaces. This is an opportunity to support managers so they can better lead the nursing colleagues. RNAO created and held free of charge our first leadership and management program last fall, and more offerings will be available this winter. That experience tells us that we need to provide nurse leaders with leadership training and supports. Not everybody is born a leader, and there are special issues depending on the sector that nurse managers need to know and that can be mentored for. Meaningful career development opportunities for nurses exist. The government should take advantage of the knowledge, skills, and potential of RNs and nurse practitioners so they can do more. We can start immediately if we expand RN scope of practice to include RN prescribing. Let me repeat it, expand RN scope of practice to include RN prescribing. It has been in the book since 2012. Do you think that 13 years is not enough to move with that? It was approved, it's still sitting on the table, it needs to move, not only for nurses, but for Ontarians. Expand NP scope of practice and innovative models of care, including more NP-led clinics. There are NP clinics, colleagues right here that I would like the media to interview, ready to open nurse practitioner clinics, waiting for over a year, and we say that people don't have access to primary care. Something is wrong with the picture. Continuing education also leads to career satisfaction and nurse satisfaction. And so we must increase funding and resources to nurses to pursue continuing education, professional development opportunities, and nursing specialty certifications. Provide nurses with time off, flexible work scheduling, and compensation when pursuing continuing education. This is not only good for nurses, this is good for Ontarians. More education means better health. We face a critical shortage of nurses, and yet, shockingly, there are thousands of internationally educated nurses, like one time Claudette was and me, living in Ontario, ready to practice in this province. who still cannot do so. We are encouraged by recent actions of the government and the College of Nurses of Ontario. According to the latest data, 5,000 new IENs registrants have been registered with the CNO over the past 12 months. That is progress. While this is really fantastic, there are 6,000 IENs still in the application queue, and this is why we need to continue to implement policies and programs to ensure IENs who reside in Canada. We do not want to poach from countries that have even less resources than Canada and want to practice in Ontario that they register and fast-track the registration with the College of Nurses of Ontario. Since health human resource planning is essential, the number of seats in nursing schools must continue to increase. We applaud the action the government has taken on this, yet more is required. There is heightened interest in nursing education amongst young people, and we expect that with our report there will be even more heightened interest and more applications. There is no shortage of applicants to the baccalaureate program for RNs, and so the increase in seats not only needs to be applauded, it needs to continue and increase further. We have 24,000 shortfall compared to the rest of the country. Let me repeat, every single effort needs to continue and increase, and new efforts need to be put in place. Increase the supply of RNs by further increasing enrollment and funding for four-year baccalaureate nursing program, second entry compressed program for RPNs moving to RNs. We have colleagues here also that can speak about that. They want to continue to move through the career. They want to contribute to Ontarians. Let's fast track what we are doing for them. We want a 10% increase per year for the next 5 years, in addition to what the government already announced. Compress the RPN to BSCN bridging program to 2 years. We don't need more than the 2 years between RPN to BSCN, especially that many of our colleagues RPN have years of experience in the field. Support faculty retention and recruitment in both colleges and university programs as a critical strategy to increase the RN supply in Ontario. Let me point out to this. You have noticed all throughout we are saying retention first, recruitment second. If you do not retain, whether it's faculty or nurses in the front lines or managers or in any sector, then it's very difficult that the investment will be materialized. Increase the supply of masters and PhD, DNP, DN prepared RNs by increasing enrollment and funding for these nursing programs. We need more nurses with higher graduate education so they can prepare the next generation of practitioners and the next generation of scholars. Nursing is an evidence-based profession. Increase the supply of nurse practitioners by increasing the funding and capacity for student NPs, seats, and associated program costs. We applauded the increase of 150 nurse practitioners for the education to a total of 350 now a year. We need even more of that. We need them in long-term care. We need them in primary care. We need them in home care. We need them in shelters. We need them all across the board. This should include enabling more nurse practitioners to also be prepared at the PhD, DNP, and DN levels for faculty support. Nurse practitioners need nurses with advanced graduate education. Nurse practitioners are master prepared. They do need NPs with doctorate degree to be well prepared. Support a 50% increase in the number of NPs by 2030. So we are giving 7 years. We want to see a 50% increase of nurse practitioners in the province as set out in RNAO's 2021 NP Task Force Report, Vision for Tomorrow. You go to the US and you will see nurse practitioners across the entire system, so well integrated in the care that people receive. We need the same here in Ontario. Nurses are eager to further their education. They want to increase their knowledge, gain additional skills, and seek out advanced roles. This zest for learning benefits everyone, nurses, employers, and most importantly, it benefits Ontarians who receive nursing care. Thus, we recommend that Ontario develop expanded and optimized nursing education pathways similar to the US and other countries to encourage nurses to advance their nursing education and careers in Ontario. That is investment that is worth doing because nurses will stay in Ontario if the opportunities are real and are serious and are supported. There are almost 33,000 nurses who are registered with the College of Nurses of Ontario currently listed as non-practicing. Get that. We have a 24,000 shortfall in Ontario, and we have 33,000 nurses registered as not practicing, and we have, I said to you, 6,000 INs waiting in the queue. Something is wrong in the picture. This is a massive untapped pool of talent. We need them. Let's get them back. Establish a return to nursing now program to attract CNO registrants back to Ontario's nursing workforce. To achieve a full potential for all nurses, we must tackle the darkest barriers within the profession and indeed within the society at large. I think you know what I'm speaking about. Systemic racism and the many forms of discrimination are profound and alive in Ontario, in Canada, and yes, sadly, in our profession. Black nurses, other racialized nurses, indigenous nurses, and 2S LGBTQI+ people continue to experience them. These are foundational barriers to educational and career pathways to other roles and sectors. This is an opportunity to build careers in Ontario. This is an opportunity to tear down, to end systemic racism and all forms of discrimination. That opportunity, properly and fully realized, means getting rid in the nursing profession and everywhere else, organizations, regulatory bodies, associations, and the broader health system of systemic racism and discrimination in all its forms. We must ensure diversity, equity, and inclusion in the nursing profession. For this, we must immediately mandate the collection of race-based data by the College of Nurses of Ontario. We have been asking about this for several years. We have asked the minister, we have asked the premier, we have asked the college to mandate the collection of race-based data by the College of Nurses of Ontario, our regulatory body. If we don't collect data, you go in the blind. Not only you don't know the type of discrimination that is happening, you also cannot measure if we are making progress in tackling this horrific, shameful barrier that we have. Provide cultural safety education and awareness building at the individual, organizational, and policy levels. There do I ask if here at Grinspun there is mandatory education for everybody too. Incorporate diversity, equity, and inclusion principles in all health human resources policies to ensure fair and equitable access to educational opportunities, professional development, and career advancement opportunities. Ensure programs that support DI, such as mentorship, are available in all of our workplaces. There is no program that RNAO has that is not informed by DI. To conclude, we know that nurses hold the key to address the health crisis. And for anyone that ever doubted it, if you don't remember what happened with ORs closed, with people not having access to primary care, with people overdosing and alone, etc., etc., etc. Solve the nursing crisis. Good nursing means good health. We have already witnessed a system collapse due to the nursing crisis, but we can and we must fix this crisis, and the day is today. We must tackle head-on barriers that are stopping nurses from serving Ontarians to their full capacity. We should also seek the enormous opportunities to engage a thriving, exciting, and dynamic nursing profession. Nurses enter the profession full of aspirations, full of smiles, full of energy. Let's not dim that light. This is how we will unleash our powerful profession to best serve Ontarians. Yes, investment and a real tangible commitment to the nursing profession is a must. And this investment will pay off in good health for Ontarians and the healing of our health system for today, for tomorrow, and for generations to come. Nurses need access to education, healthy work environments, and workplace supports. Systemic racism and discrimination must end, and nurses must feel valued and competitively compensated. Policymakers, governments, and employers, we are putting you on notice. You must fast-track funding and opportunities to enable our colleagues and their workplaces to thrive and build careers in Ontario. And it must begin today. Our ministers, too, Minister Jones and Minister Calandra, and maybe the Premier, are coming at 2 p.m., followed by opposition party leaders, each on their term. We must begin today. Nurses deserve nothing less, and so do Ontarians. Good nursing means good health outcomes for Ontarians. Thank you. To you, Morgan.
Thank you, Dr. Grinspun. Before we take questions, I just want to briefly share a bit of my nursing career. So I have a baccalaureate degree as well as a master's degree in nursing. I've worked in a variety of different healthcare sectors, from primary care to acute care to post-acute care, and now in long-term care, where I work as a director of care at a long-term care home. I'm immensely proud of what my colleagues and I have achieved. We need our politicians, policymakers, and employers to develop a deeper understanding of our profession and its potential, because there's no limit to what nurses can do. Now, we'll now take questions from any reporters. So if there's anybody here who has a question, please just identify yourself and your media outlet.
Hi, Jessica from the Trillium. I was wondering if you're expecting to hear any announcements from the politicians coming this afternoon.
I hope so. I hope so. We have brought to their attention the 2012 announcement back then of RN prescribing. The time for announcements is over. We want implementation. The College of Nurses of Ontario already approved it in 2019, so we are hoping for that. We are hoping for an expanded scope for nurse practitioners of barriers that they have experienced. We have communicated that for a few years too. We are hoping for that. The crisis in primary care where people don't have access, when here we have colleagues, several that have proposals ready. The government has them in their desk for over a year to open nurse practitioner-led clinics. The time is today. Because of the public in Aurelia, there is 15,000 people unattached, 6 doctors retiring. In Peterborough, similar situation, and yet you have nurse practitioners eager to open NP clinics. This is not a new concept. We announced 26 of those clinics under Premier McGuinty back then, and since then nothing else has been announced. The time is today. Dare I say that today will be a perfect day for the Premier to say that he is stopping the court challenge, the appeal that he has on Bill 124 that was deemed unconstitutional, and that he understands perhaps that a new graduate here in Ontario is the second worst paid in the entire country, and that it's time to stop that and that nurses deserve competitive compensation, healthy work environment, safe workloads, if we want to retain them in Ontario. The whole purpose of this report is let's build the profession in a way that every investment we do retains them then in Ontario, so it can serve the public. And the issue of mandatory race-based data mandatory is long overdue, as well as tackling systemic racism that is not only really for the government, it's for all of us, it's for the nursing profession to tackle itself, also for organizations, OHA, Advantage Ontario, OLTC, everybody. I'm sure that you see that at Queen's Park too. Is a deep illness of our society, and it needs to stop.
On prescribing, the government has moved forward with allowing pharmacists to prescribe some medications. Why do you think they moved forward there first?
So, Jessica, I raised that question today with a couple of MPPs, and I asked, and I'm sorry to need to say this, are pharmacists, comparatively speaking to nurses, a male profession? Likely, yes, in proportionally. And it aches me to say, because when you look at Bill 124, several male professions were left out of it. Well, let's start with doctors, that they were never part of that, right? Because they are supposedly self-employed. But if you look at paramedics, if you look at police, they were not in that bill either. So here you go. Pharmacists started to ask about prescribing, I think, about 18 months ago, and they got it. We were approved in 2019 by the college, and still has not moved. So the question is for the minister, and let's hope that today she will announce that actually it's being implemented. No just, more rhetoric, because it has been long overdue. Yeah.
There's a lot going on with nurses. Today the ONA is holding a mass protest outside when you guys are in here doing this. Do you support them and what they're doing?
100%. ONA is asking for competitive compensation, and that's our first. There are three factors that really are the biggest ailment of nursing at this point. Competitive compensation, safe workloads, which ONA is asking, and we will add to that healthy work environment. So all the issue of systemic racism, all the issue of discrimination in all of its forms, support for mentorship. My colleague Morgan can tell you, a director of care in a nursing home, the length of stay that they stay there is the retention is 18 months. 18 months, because their compensation is, compared to hospitals, you cannot even begin to talk, etc., etc. So healthy work environments in all of its forms, support for mental health in times of crisis. You heard us talk about that during the height of the pandemic. So those three elements is really at the core of what will start to really retain nurses in Ontario. And then if you build into that career pathways that allow people that come with those beautiful smiles into the profession, that many of them want to stay, many PSWs want to stay as PSWs for a variety of reasons. It's okay. Many RPNs want to say that's okay. Many RNs want to say that's okay. But when they want to do the career pathways, let's open and support them, because it's not only good for good health of Ontarians, which it is. Education is directly linked. It's also good for retention, right? So it's investment that will allow us to retain nurses.
You mentioned private surgical centers. This question is for any of you who want to answer. You mentioned private surgical centers. Do you share the concerns about nurses being poached from the public system into private operation?
Yes, we're absolutely concerned, and we want to advocate for publicly funded, not-for-profit care. And we need to ensure that our valuable healthcare dollars are not being siphoned off to investors' pockets. So we need to have nurses at the table when these things are being discussed, because we bring the education, the experience, and to bring the realities from the workplace, the teaching place, and the administrative and research place. So again, we advocate for not-for-profit, publicly funded healthcare, and we in no way support the privatization of healthcare. We don't want a two-tier system. We've seen what that has done in the US, and we do not want to go down that path, and we will hold our position on that.
And I will give you an example, a real one of what my colleague Dr. Holloway is saying. Take the Ottawa Hospital, right? So they are now opening in the evening and on weekends. There are ORs, which we support. We think ORs should be open in all the hospitals, weekends and evenings, with the same staff and with the same surgeons. No, it's open for a corporation that comes, uses that operating room, is poaching nurses from the same unit, paying them significantly higher to do surgeries. Yes, it will worsen the situation. It will worsen the situation for everybody. Let me tell you about that, because I was born in Chile, in one of those countries where there is a two-tier system. The people that can afford the care will get more care than what they need, which is not good. More care than what you need also is not good. Getting procedures that you don't need is also not good. And those that don't have the means to pay, which people are now doing in the Ottawa Hospital, those people will get less care. So the wait times, if you look at Alberta, you look at Nova Scotia, you look at Saskatchewan, where they have done some of that, the wait times for example, hip and knee replacements have increased, they have not decreased. They're higher than here since they opened the for-profit clinic. So,
thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Grinspun and Dr. Holloway, for providing us with the information during this media conference. Thank you to the media for joining us, and to all of our colleagues. The Nursing Career Pathways report can be found on our website, rnao.ca. Thank you for joining us.
And there are colleagues, Jessica, here from the NP Clinic.